the first time in 4.5 years, gas prices are averaging $3 a gallon nationally, according to AAA, down by 7 cents in just the past week. Gas prices were low a year ago as well, but they're even cheaper now.
Yeah, look at that. It must kill CNN to have to report that. Gas prices are down. That's what happens when you drill, baby, drill. It is all about affordability, and I think both parties are going to try and claim the affordability issue. Although I do believe President Trump may have taken the affordability word from the Democrats when he met with Mondami, the commie, in the Oval Office recently. It seems like that was the idea. You're not going to have this affordability word. We are. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant. One more day. Chris should return tomorrow. He just was under the weather today. Honored to be here as always, and you are welcome to join us. 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. A lot to talk about. Now, I will tell you, I'm not going to spend too much time on a subject that the left is absolutely obsessed with today. And it is an unsubstantiated report about the Secretary of War adding a second order to strike one of the drug boats. And I do this because I cannot believe the left is upset that we're taking out people that are sending drugs to this country to kill the children in this country, to kill the young people, to kill the people addicted to drugs in this country. We know what fentanyl has done. Fentanyl has taken hundreds of thousands of Americans in the last 5 years. Hundreds of thousands. It's probably close to 500,000. The numbers are argued back and forth, whether it's 70, 80, 100,000 in a year. But it is one of the most terrible situations. And it does seem like every time we take out one of these boats and you see the water covered with the drugs that were being carried and intended to come here, that's just fuel for the Democrats to go, oh, this is unnecessary. No, it's not. You guys let it happen. We have families that have been destroyed because they've lost children because of the fentanyl. And yes, China's involved too. And I know the president is reportedly working on getting China to back down, sending the products used to assemble the fentanyl. But yeah, Venezuela looks like they're concerned, but the bipartisan anger to look into the boat strikes in the Caribbean, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. And I know Rand Paul is one of the people saying, well, you need approval to do stuff like this. Do you really need approval to take out drug runners? And we have superior technology to take them out. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that today because I'm going to let that play out. There's much more to say in it, but they're all unsubstantiated. They're all anonymous reports. Tired of the anonymous reports. Over the weekend, the president put out some interesting posts on Truth Social, one of them being that he was pausing all of the immigration from third world countries. And there were some interesting questions about that. The president talking about the pause on all of this. And somebody was asking the president, well, how long are you going to do this? Cut form, Michael. What's the time period, Mr. President?
Your administration made a lot of moves throughout the last few days after we know that Afghan national is the suspected shooter of these National Guardsmen.
Yeah, the people that shouldn't be in our country this way.
So you announced that asylum.
And that includes Somalians and it includes plenty of others.
How long does your administration plan to pause asylum into the U.S.?
I think a long time.
Can you give any kind of time?
We don't want those people. We have enough problems. We don't want those people.
Is that a year, 2 years?
No time limit. But it could be a long time.
Yeah, it could be a long time, meaning as long as it takes. We'll be here as long as it takes. It's not like D.C. where you're told you have to get out in 60 days. And the president was very clear about pausing the asylum and why we're pausing the asylum. Cut 5, please.
You understand it?
I understand.
Who are you with?
I'm with News Nation, sir.
Okay,
My
News
name's Libby
Nation,
D.
News Nation, great.
Thank
Let
you.
me just tell you something. We don't want those people. Does that make sense? You know why we don't want them? Because many of them are no good, and they shouldn't be in our country.
What do you mean by those people? Can you clarify?
People from different countries that are not friendly to us, and countries that are out of control themselves. Countries like Somalia that have virtually no government, no military, no police. All they do is go around killing each other. Then they come into our country and tell us how to run our country. We don't want them.
Yeah, we don't want them. We don't like them. And I agree with the president. Now the left is freaking out. They're going, well, he's talking about the people from Afghanistan. Then he goes 2,400 miles to Somalia. Well, if they're not going to be assimilators, we don't want them here anyway. The president did talk about reverse migration. He said we need some reverse migration.
Reverse migration.
It means get people out that are in our country. Get them out of here. I want to get them out. We got a lot of people in our country that shouldn't be here, and they came in through Biden, and he was the worst president in the history of our country. But the single biggest thing he did was allow millions of people into our country that shouldn't be here. Drug dealers, prisons were opened up and allowed to come into our country. You take a look at the people that were allowed to come into our country. We're paying a big price for it, and we will for years to come, including the recent killer of 2 wonderful National Guards people. And I'll tell you what, that animal should not have been allowed to come into our country.
Well, that is a very interesting argument. I think the president misspoke. He said the killer of 2. Shooter of 2. 1 has died. We still have Andrew Wolf fighting for his life, as Sarah Beckstrom has unfortunately passed away almost that same day last week at the shooting in D.C. I'm still upset about this. And while we're on that subject, I want to point particularly to CNN. CNN managed to find the former boyfriend of one of the victims of the shooting. Managed to find the boyfriend of Sarah Beckstrom, an ex-boyfriend, and ask him a question about this situation. This is cut 27, Michael. CNN talking to a guy named Adam Carr, and I just think this points out really how despicable CNN is.
She just was also like, why am I here if I can't do nothing? Where they limited them so much, she's like, it's pointless. She's like, I get why we're here, crime's bad, but it's pointless if we can't do anything.
Now, CNN, first of all, you ghouls, you cherry-picked this. You didn't use the entire clip. She was talking about how proud she was to be doing this job, how volunteering for this service was important to her. But she did want to have, I don't understand why they weren't armed. It really is infuriating. But they didn't play the entire clip. CNN didn't, because now it makes it look like the National Guard woman who was killed, lost her life, was saying, oh, this is pointless. No, that's not what she was saying. It's manipulation by CNN. Let's get back to President Trump, talking about the people who are here that we don't want here. And this is, again, from Air Force One, from the press gaggle on Air Force One. The president talking about denaturalizing people.
Mr. President, you said that you might denaturalize some American citizens. Can you talk about
You mean people that are in here that shouldn't be here?
that became Americans? Are you trying
Well, we'll
to
see.
revoke
I
their
mean, yeah, if we have criminals that came into our country and they were naturalized maybe through a Biden or somebody that didn't know what they were doing, if I have the power to do it, I'm not sure that I do, but if I do, I would denaturalize absolutely.
That is going to be one of those questions that does the president have the power, does the government have the power to revoke citizenship that was given to somebody, that someone became a naturalized citizen. But if they lied on their forms, if they were here with nefarious intent and then managed to get around the system, does he have the power? He said, I don't know if I do, but it's, of course, triggering the left, and they're very upset about it. and they will be bringing it up repeatedly. As you can hear what it's going to be talked about. One of the people who is upset about it is Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly, the senator who's upset about the immigration pause. He was on Meet the Press yesterday with Kristen Welker.
When I heard the secretary say that they're going to pause immigration from third world countries, I mean, I take that as a message that they don't want brown people coming to the United States. And I find that disturbing. We are a country that has always welcomed individuals that are struggling, that are fleeing famine and violence. And it would be a fundamental change to the fabric of our nation to change that.
Yeah, we do welcome people that are struggling. We do welcome people that are fighting off famine. We do welcome people that see America as an opportunity. What we don't want is people that see America as a place they want to change. I think that's where we differ, Senator Kelly. I think that's kind of the key element here is that that we don't agree that you just open the doors and let everybody in. And we go back to the day that President Trump came down the escalator at Trump Tower in 2015. I was in the crowd, the pool of reporters that day, and I heard him talk about the people that Mexico was sending us, saying they don't send us their best. And the left went crazy. And yet here we are with some evidence that the president was right about some of the people that came over here. Yeah, there are some good people who came here, but there also were a bunch of bad folks who were sent here or delivered to us. And the president's right to stop and take a look because it's about assimilation. And if you can't assimilate, then I don't think you have the right to be here. Just recently posted on social media was a comment from a scholar, and I'm using Chris Plant air quotes with my fingers here, an Islamic scholar in California, a guy named Uthman Farouk, who is speaking to people and talking about what's happening not only in Europe, but what's coming to America.
We are the messengers of the messenger. We are the representative of this deen of Islam. We have to be the solution. The future is ours. Every ideal nightmare of a Muslim Europe will come true. They can be as mad as they want. I don't care. America will be a Muslim country. Russia will be a Muslim country. Islam will enter every house. We have to be a part of that change.
I don't think people understand that these guys are serious. They're very serious. And not only are they serious, but their elected representatives like American ingrate Ilhan Omar, they're pretty open about what they want to do and how they want to change core values in this country. Ilhan Omar, again, I should give her appropriate title, American ingrate Ilhan Omar, was speaking to a group of folks about what I think is one of the really important amendments to the Constitution, that Second Amendment that gives you the right to keep and bear arms to protect yourself against a government that would become tyrannical, if you will. This was Ilhan Omar, and I think this happened in October. She posted this on TikTok.
We have more guns in this country than we have humans. So one of the things that's going to be important is to create a registry. So we know where the guns are. We can know when they go into the wrong hands, when they're stolen. And we can actually start a buyback program. I know that some of the Minnesota legislators have had that legislation, and that's something that we should be thinking about on a federal level.
So Ilhan Omar, if you couldn't hear, she's a little watery there in that audio. She's saying that America has more guns than we have people, and we really need a registry so we know where all the guns are. So that when we have a buyback program, we'll be able to just identify where the guns are. I'm going to be a big no on this. No, thank you. I didn't even get to President Trump and his discussion of the executive orders in the auto pen. It's coming up just around the corner. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for my buddy Chris Plant. Don't have a lot of time left in this half hour, so let's go to the phones and talk to the people. Alan in Chicago listening on WLS. Hello, Alan. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Michael. You know, the American people have got to understand that this invasion over the last 4 years is costing this country about $150 billion in government money to maintain the folks. It doesn't include private losses like people being killed and people being injured or their property being damaged. I hail from the home improvement industry. I've done new construction and residential. Most of the subcontractors are employing 1099s or they're paying cash. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the benefit may be that the contractor benefits because they bring the wages down, they can make a bigger profit. But people have got to understand as well. I've talked to cops who arrest people who never show to court. Either get a ticket or they do some kind of crime. They never show because we don't know the IDs that they give you are valid. Or if they got them out of states like California, if they actually use their own name and identity. So, you know, we have a ghost economy where people are not visible, truthfully. They appear there holographically, but they're not actually there. And we have no way of stopping them because they can. The men who beat up the cops in New York City, what do? They went down to Texas. They have no permanence in New York. They have no contacts in New York. They can flee. They can run.
Well, I agree with you. There is a shadow economy out there, and there's a lot of illegality tied to it. But is the answer, Alan, to force digital IDs and digital currency on us? Because that's what some on the left would say. And I'm one of the people who said, I think this digital ID and digital currency is one of the worst ideas I've heard in a very long time. So how do we stop the hiring of illegals? How do we change it?
How do we stop people from breaking into your email? How do we stop people from getting data from the Pentagon, from the IRS? You know, these systems that we rely so much on are vulnerable. I have friends that are project managers in tech. And, you know, and they're telling you, hey, there's a lot of holes out there. There are companies like CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Network that are growing exponentially. Why? Because security is so important, because the crooks can run faster than the cops in that arena.
Isn't that the sad reality? Alan, thank you for being there. And I hope the home improvement business continues to be good for you. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show. It is the Chris Plant Show on this Monday, Cyber Monday, the 1st of December. My goodness, we're already in December. Hope your Thanksgiving weekend was incredible. Mike Opelka in one more day for Chris Plant. Honored to be here, thrilled to be here. And I have to say this, because I live near Philadelphia. How about those Chicago Bears? I know people are mad at me for that, but too bad. 5-0 in the month of November. No lose November. A lot going on today. And we're trying to get to as much of it as possible. I mentioned that over the weekend, the president announced that via Truth Social, and I thought this was a really interesting move. I think the president is truly playing on a different level than the Democrats are because he knows how to troll them. The president posted the Truth Social statement that he was going to invalidate all of the auto pen signed pardons by Joe Biden and all of the auto pen signed executive orders. Now, the reality is that's a very attention getting statement, but the president can negate any executive orders right now by signing executive orders that will knock him out. As we saw Joe Biden do that on the first day of his administration. He kind of came into office and said, all right, we're undoing everything the Trump administration did. And I encourage the president to undo all of the garbage that Biden put out there, but especially the stuff that was auto pen signed. It just seems to be wrong. On the pardons, this is where it's going to be interesting. And I do hope that we get some resolution to this. As an American citizen and as an unabashed Trump supporter, I walk around wearing a baseball cap that says I voted for this, and it irritates a lot of my Delaware neighbors, but I don't care. I voted for this. As an unabashed Trump supporter, I am absolutely stunned by the numbers of pardons that were signed with the use of the auto pen. And I really believe we need to get full disclosure on who was in that office when the auto pen was used, and was there any financial reward for the people who managed to get pardons for people via the auto pen. A pardon or commutation is one of those things that could be very difficult to overturn, because once it's complete, usually the legal world looks at it and goes, well, it's done now. Well, if it was done illegally, is it? So I hope we would turbocharge any look into all of the auto pen signed pardons. The executive orders, Mr. President, you can overturn those today. And maybe it's one executive order that says any executive order that was signed by an auto pen is hereby declared to be illegitimate. If you could do that, please do it. Get it done. Let's be efficient. That would be one of those things I would love to see happen. I don't know if it will. I do know the president has a lot on his table. We're hearing that Trump's friend, the envoy, Steve Witkoff, is meeting in Moscow on the future of this deal with Ukraine and Moscow that could end this war. Initially, it was 28 points. I think that got whittled down to 19 points. Ukraine has said they're good with the 19 points, and Putin seems to be dragging his feet. So let's hope President Trump can reel in a ninth settlement on the world stage of wars. And this certainly would be the big fish. And the Democrats have been saying he said he could end it on day one. That was campaign rhetoric. That's called hyperbole. But you knew he wasn't going to get it done in one day. You've got these sides that are arguing. But as it relates to the executive orders signed by auto pens, based on some of the great legal minds I've talked to, the president can undo any executive order with his own executive order. That's one of the frustrating things about using executive orders versus passing laws. But the auto pen pardons, and maybe you have a different opinion on this, I hope they go in and just absolutely devastate the auto pen pardons. I really think that's a huge problem. And now we know Hunter's pardon, I think, was one of the very few that was actually signed by Joe Biden. They've gone through and compared all of the signatures, and the Hunter pardon is absolutely signed by Joe because it was signed in crayon. Kidding. No, it was actually signed by the former president. So that's one that will stick. But the Fauci pardon? Oh, if President Trump could undo the Fauci pardon, and we could see some of the legal weight being brought down on Dr. Fauci, I would love to see that. And let's talk about Adam Schiff. Let's talk about everybody on the January 6th committee. Every single one of those people who got a pardon. Anybody who got a pardon with an auto pen should be very nervous right now and should be spending some of their hard-earned money on lawyers to make sure they'd be okay. I'm really not happy about all of those. And I hope the Oversight Committee, which is doing a lot of work on this, will keep putting forward the videos they've been putting forward. It's encouraging. But unless and until we see somebody actually pay the price for it, I'm just going to keep carping about it. All right. Seeing more action on the phones line, 888-630-9625. Let's talk to Tom in Chicago. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Thank you for taking the call. So you were talking about whether Trump had legal authority to denaturalize, and I'd like to point out that this is a very well-established point of law. It's deep in precedent. Anything acquired under false pretenses has no legal authority. So actually, he's not denaturalizing them. He's just saying you are no longer here because you didn't get it under a lawful means.
Tom?
And anybody Yes.
Tom, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is that what's referred to as fruit of the poison tree?
I'm not familiar with the term.
Okay.
But I do have a little bit of a legal background, and I can tell you with great certainty there's a lot of law supporting anything gained under false pretenses has no legal authority. And anybody that comes into this country and takes that oath that they are going to be loyal to the United States and they set up Sharia law or do anything in contrary to U.S. law, then they have violated the oath, and there's no legal reason to respect their naturalization.
I love that. I agree with you, and I do hope that that is the case. It seems that makes sense. If your citizenship was granted because you presented information that was untrue and you skirted the requirements, that citizenship should not be considered legitimate. Even if it's a green card, if you lied about something to get your green card, it should not be considered legitimate. So let's see what happens on that. We will keep monitoring and keep watching it. I think the president is really going to be pushing hard on all of these, on not just the issue of peace between Russia and Ukraine, or stopping the war at least, not just on getting Venezuela to stop sending drugs to this country, but also on solving this problem of the auto pen and what Joe Biden was allowed, and the people who were operating Joe Biden were allowed to get away with during the 4 years of that presidency. Really, really irritates me to no end. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being there. Andrew is in D.C. Andrew, we're just back from the Thanksgiving holiday. And how was yours? How was it dealing with family members?
Well, it's very embarrassing, actually. I was all alone.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's okay. I didn't call to hear you, feel pity for me. I called to tell you that I came up with a solution that had been in front of me all my life. I was raised Catholic.
A solution for
peace of my heart, peace of my mind, and a solution that I can't control what my 30 and 40-year-old son and daughter think of me, for things that happened, mistakes I might have made, and I beg their forgiveness for 20 years ago. I can't. And this might be just be me. I don't know. It might strike a chord with others, though. There's so much politics in this country. People are divided. I know that God loves me. That's it. That's
okay.
It. God loves me, and He's not going to leave me. He's with me all the time, and they have to find that out. And I'm not going to be lonely. I do other things with people. I'm a member of a men's group in church, and I perform I do magic tricks at a coffee house in D.C. But I have to remind myself that He's always with me, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and I don't have to mourn my fate.
Well, Andrew, thank you for sharing that. I do hope that the young ones in your life, your kids and other family members, will have the same realization you've had, and they will come back, and everybody can. And not that it's a kumbaya moment, but it's always good when we understand that family and faith are more important than politics, and that people can be of different minds and still be able to be together to celebrate things like Thanksgiving, to celebrate the blessings of this country that we've been given. And I hope that happens. I hope the rest of your family has the same realization you've had, especially those kids, especially now that they're grown-ups. And they probably have to answer the questions, too, because, their friends and family always say, well, where's the rest of your family on this holiday? So as somebody who's lives far away from his family and has bolstered our Thanksgiving and Christmas tables with friends, I hope that happens for you, because truly, at the end of the day, it is about family. And I appreciate your perspective greatly. So thank you, sir. God bless you, brother. That's an interesting call to take. We're in the middle of talking about politics, but this is what happens on the Chris Plant Show. We get to everything. I was going to play you the clip from Bill Maher, who was chiding everybody, mostly Democrats, for ghosting everybody else. In case you missed it,
it is a real shame what's happened to this holiday, which used to be all about the good F's: food, friends, family, football, fun. And now it's you. You're not even invited because you voted for the wrong person. I'm so tired of liberals ghosting half this country. Conservatives do it too, but not nearly as much. Look, whoever's doing it, it's got to stop.
It should stop. It should stop now. I have had, I can honestly say, because I live in Delaware, which is a very blue state. I'm surrounded by people who would not talk to me because of the results of the election. Not even give me a look. But that's okay. They're the ones who are missing out. I'm happy to have a conversation with people who are on the other side of the aisle. Sometimes you learn things. Most of the times you don't. But every now and then we can bring them across. And that's kind of the issue. All right, I'm going to step aside here. When we come back, we'll do a wrap-up on everything that's been in the hopper today. Is there an update from Moscow, where Steve Witkoff is hoping to bring home a peace agreement with Marco Rubio? Is there news on the awful shooter who took the life of one National Guards person, and our other National Guardsman, Andy Wolf, is fighting for his life? We'll give you the latest updates. Zoe Pelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is The Chris Plant Show on this Monday, December 1st, Cyber Monday. And if you're on the insane side of things, it is We Ain't Buying It Monday. It's a crazy thing, telling people just punish Target, punish Amazon, punish Home Depot. Don't shop there because, we don't like this administration that wants capitalism to thrive and survive. Yeah. Crazy people. As Chris would say, crazy man, crazy. And speaking of crazy, did you see Joe Biden out and about in Nantucket? He's talking to some people on the street. I'm sure it wasn't staged. Not at all. And sounding like he thinks he might still be the president. He was talking to these people, and they mentioned something about Ukraine to him.
I'm Tanya. Nice to meet you. From Louis Virgin, from Sanville.
I've been over a month.
Oh, God, I'm going to start crying. Thank you so much.
Wait a minute. This woman says she's from Ukraine, and it sounded like Biden said, I've been there over a month now. Wait, did he say that?
I've been over a month.
Oh, God, I'm going to start.
I've been over a month ago. Was he in Ukraine? I don't think so, but he thinks he's still president, I believe.
Right. Thank you so much for your support of Ukraine.
By the way, I keep pushing as hard as I can.
I know. Thank you so much. I know.
I keep pushing as hard as I can for Ukraine. Really? You're not in charge. You're not in charge anymore, sir. Here's a memo that needs to be thrown into the office. You are not even close to being in charge, sir. Not even close. But maybe he doesn't care. Maybe his people don't care. We talked at length today about some of my gripes with the states of California and Illinois and New York, who've handed out commercial driver's licenses to people who are here illegally, and driver's licenses to people that don't even have names on them, which is really irritating. No name given. No, how dare you? And a driver's license, commercial driver's license to someone, and just put no name given on. And then we talked about this part of the economy that has so much opportunity, but Americans have been told, trades and truck drivers, no, it's not a good place. One of the greatest voices for this is Mike Rowe, the dirty jobs guy. And full disclosure, Mike's an old friend, but I think his message is one that needs to get out there even more.
We got a skills gap. It's wide. It's big. We got 7.2 million men who are not participating in the workforce, not looking for work. We got $1.7 trillion in student loans on the books. We got 7.6 million open positions that don't require a 4-year degree. And yet, we keep lending money we don't have to kids who are never going to be able to pay it back to train them for jobs that don't exist anymore. If we want to close the skills gap, we got to make a more persuasive case for millions of good jobs that nobody knows about and nobody understands. These are 6-figure jobs or opportunities that lead straight to a 6-figure career. They're everywhere. And if we don't reinvigorate the trades, I'm afraid the president's best efforts to bring manufacturing back to these shores is going to run into a real roadblock. We need an enthused workforce, skilled for the jobs that are out there.
And there are millions of them. Well said, Mike Rowe. And the president is reshoring manufacturing. Cheryl Atkinson had a great story showing just how much is coming back. And there's going to be a huge surge next year. You know, he just got there in January of this year. And it's taken a long time to get everything on the starting blocks. And now that we're there, I think the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, has said it, that the kickoff of next year is going to see a huge spark and return to the golden age of America that President Trump has talked about. Also, look out for today. We might even get some real fair reporting on the White House and the First Lady. The First Lady's decoration of the White House is going to be open to the public. You know, they've often mocked her on the mainstream media. It looks pretty darn classy, if you ask me. Home is where the heart is. Thanks for being there today. Thank you, Michael Piercy. Thank you, Jasmine, on the phones. Chris should be back tomorrow. Till next time, it's Mike Opelka reminding you, testudo, my friends. Testudo.